So now it's time for us to do a full series on how to wash, clay, polish, ceramic coat, and the list goes on.
What's up, Henry?
Hey, I have a surprise for you. Come to the garage.
All right, bet. I'll be there.
All right.
I'll be there right now. Bye. Oh, Henry. This guy's... He's always got something new for me. Oh. Nice. That's good. Head dog, you got a new car?
No, I got you a new car.
What do you mean?
It's a Kia Rio. It's not tropical whatsoever. But guess what?
What?
I just did a wash on this, and
This
car?
I can already guess what you're about to say.
What?
I'm gonna have to drive it around the parking lot for fun, right?
No, that's way off topic. So, I think it's time for us to get into spring cleaning. I think it's time to show our viewers how to do it themselves. So, I got this Kia Rio. It's not tropical whatsoever, but it has this wear and tear. I already went ahead and washed it with Clean Slate.
Ooh.
Hey, don't
That thing is bad.
be gentle. I know.
Whose car is this?
So guess what?
What?
Just how you touched it and you felt it, it's time for you to clay it and polish it.
All right. I love a challenge. I love me a good challenge.
So, here you go.
All right.
Here's the keys. I'll be back later.
All right. See ya.
Shaba.
This should be fun. All right, guys, now that we've taken a look at the paint and we realize what the work is that we need to do, let's go ahead and get started. But before we get started, don't forget to use protection. Lucky for you, I brought my rubbers.
Say what?
So we're continuing today with the series on the detailing flowchart, and as you guys saw on the last episode, Henry actually washed it for me. He washed it with our Clean Slate, which is a surface cleansing wash to strip away all the old waxes, sealants, and glazes that are on the paintwork, and thus now leaving it fully exposed, and we can now inspect it, see what it needs, and go from there. So one thing right off the bat when it comes to the detailing flowchart is after you wash your vehicle, you want to make sure to clay bar. Even if you have a brand new vehicle, I don't care if you just pulled it off the lot. Even if you have a brand new vehicle, there is still room for contaminants to be lingering on your paintwork. How do you figure out whether or not you have contaminants on your vehicle? Great question. You can actually just go with the feel of it. So if you guys will just pay attention, or sorry, just listen very clearly, you'll hear that this is extremely contaminated. So I'm just gonna go ahead and rub my hand over the paintwork, and I want you guys to hear just how rough it sounds. Your paint should not sound like that, and if it does, well, you're at the right place, because today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to remove that. So we have two products here. We have our Clay Luber, which is a synthetic lubricant for clay bars or clay blocks. And I'm also going to be utilizing our medium grade clay bar. Now we have a full range of clay bars. So the reason I'm going with the medium grade clay bar is because I kind of had a little chance to kind of feel the paint beforehand, and I can tell that it's more on the medium / heavy side. Now, if your vehicle is not this raspy, it's a little bit less raspy, then you can go with like a light or an OG clay bar. Or if you don't know whether it's light or heavy, you know, if you've never actually done the clay bar, don't worry, just play it safe. You can go with our medium grade clay bar, and that's gonna work out great on all occasions. So this is extremely easy to use. All I have to do is open it up, take it out. Now the thing about this clay bar is that it has these plastic sleeves on it. Ooh, don't wanna drop that. It has these plastic sleeves on it. So what you wanna make sure not to do is to basically use your clay bar with the plastic sleeves on it, because you will mar the paint. So I'm gonna take off the sleeves. They come off very easily, and if you want, you can actually keep them. That way they don't get stuck to your packaging inside. So I'm just gonna put those back into the packaging for now. Set this to the side. Now this is the clay bar. What you don't wanna do is use this entire thing at the same time. So what you wanna do instead is actually cut yourself off a little chunk. If you have scissors, go ahead and use scissors or a blade, but I recommend going with a 1/4 amount of this clay bar. So what I like to do is just simply kind of tear it in half, and then from this side as well, I'm gonna tear it. And then I'm just gonna kind of pull it, twist it, and just pull it from there. Oh, damn, strong. And then with the rest of the clay bar, you wanna go ahead and put that back into the packaging. So as you guys saw, we saved their plastic sleeves. I don't know where the other one went. Oh, here it is. So you just want to put that sleeve back on there. And then we'll also put it back on the other side as well. That way it doesn't get all stuck within the packaging. And we can save this for later. Or in the case that we drop our clay bar, we're not, you know, screwed over because we dropped our entire piece of clay bar. And the way that this clay bar works, it's like a piece of gum. Obviously, you're not going to chew it, but the way it works is like a piece of gum, so it extracts all the embedded dirt, grime, contaminants that are in the pores of your paintwork. And basically, the way it works is if you drop it on the ground, you know, you want to make sure to throw it away because you're going to collect all kinds of fine debris sitting on there. So what you want to do is grab your clay bar and kind of knead it out into like a little patty that you can kind of grab with your forefingers, like so. So I like to kind of shape it something like this, where you can kind of grab it with your forefingers. And then what you want to do is grab your bottle of Clay Luber, and then you want to spray a good amount onto the surface. Never be stingy with the lube. Reason I say that is because if you are stingy with the lube, what can happen is you get dry friction, and then if you're gliding this on the paintwork, it can potentially mar it. So all you want to do now is simply glide the clay bar left and right. Now it may seem kind of bad, it may seem kind of like you're scratching the paint whenever you first start, but this is actually just pulling off all the embedded contaminants sitting on the surface of your paintwork. So as you guys will see right now in a sec, I'm just going to continue doing this. Now right here already, I already feel the paintwork extremely smooth. Now whenever you feel it smooth, you can stop, grab your towel and wipe it down. But come here, I want to show you guys this. I just did the small little section. I'm going to give my cameraman some time to kind of focus on this. This clay bar, it's great. But if you guys will see right here, it's all brown, it's all yellow, it's all gunky. That's everything that we're extracting from the paintwork. So if you clay bar your vehicle and it looks like that, then that's a great thing. Don't see it as a bad thing. You know, this piece of clay bar is going to last you a very long time, especially if you take care of it. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and continue clay barring the rest of this trunk, and then I'm going to show you guys the results in just a bit, all right? So we'll be right back. All right, guys, now that I've done this little section, before I actually show you the final results, I want you guys to check this out. So what I'm gonna do right now is just wipe off the remaining residue of the Clay Luber. That way it's not in the way, and I can show you guys basically the way it should sound. And I'm just gonna wipe off the residue. Just gonna make sure that I dry this pretty thoroughly. Now I'm going to use this glove, which I haven't got wet yet. So I want you guys to come up close or just listen very clearly. If I rub my hand on this now, you don't hear anything at all. As opposed to if I go on this side, it sounds extremely contaminated. Contaminated, not contaminated. So it's a big difference in terms of how it looks, how it feels, how it sounds. If your paint should look glass smooth, it should feel glass smooth, and you should have full clarity. For you guys out there who have lighter color vehicles like white especially, you guys may notice like little yellow brown specks on your vehicle. That's when you need to clay bar. So if you guys ever notice on your vehicle, see that right there? That's what you need in your life. So I'm gonna finish this up, be right back with you guys. Cool. All right, guys, so we just finished clay barring the trunk. Now, a couple things I did want to point out just very quickly. Don't be stingy with the lube. Glide left and right. Never go in circular motions. If you do circular motions, if there happens to be, let's say for example, just hypothetically, a small little pebble or a small little rock or anything like that on your paintwork, it's going to get into your clay bar, and then you're going to be doing that circular motion, and you're going to be having a lot worse paint than what you had before you started doing all this. So make sure to go in straight motions, left, right, up, and down. And another thing is never apply heavy pressure to the clay bar, just let it glide left and right. And the reason that we're doing this in the first place is because whenever it comes to the next step, which is polishing, you want to make sure that there's absolutely no contaminants embedded in the paintwork, because what happens is if there's any rough feel or contaminants in your paintwork, whenever you start polishing, all those contaminants are going to get onto your pad, and then you're going to start continuing, polishing the rest of your vehicle, and those contaminants are going to start scratching your vehicle. So basically, in a sense, you're just never going to finish because you're always going to be scratching up your vehicle. So you're just going to be there day after day after day, hour after hour, trying to achieve the perfect streak-free, perfect flawless results, and you're never going to get there because you forgot to remove the contaminants. So right now, what we're going to do is move on to the next step, which is determining whether you have good paint, moderate paint, or poor paint. So we're going to do another inspection right now on the paintwork with our LED inspection light, and I'm just going to go ahead and just go over the paint. Now, the clay bar, it's not designed to remove scratches, so don't pay attention to, it looks like it didn't do anything at all, but it's nice and glass smooth now, and it's prepared for us to polish. So don't inspect the paint in terms of, like it looking better, but actually just kind of look at it in the sense that you now have full clarity as to what's actually in the paintwork and what was the contaminants kind of taken away. So now that we looked at this paint, now it's time for us to determine whether it's good paint, moderate paint, or poor paint. Now I can tell you guys right now, this is on the moderate / poor paint, simply because there's a bunch of heavy scratches, a bunch of swirl marks, there's some marring in some sections. So we definitely want to make sure that we hit this with the two-step correction. Today we're going to be using C4 and P4. If you do have very bad paint, an example of bad paint would be something that has not been polished in over a decade, or maybe you just have a vehicle that has been very, very poorly washed. Maybe take it to like a drive-through car wash, or you're using a brick to wash your car. That's when you can determine whether you have bad paint, and that's usually determined by whenever you have like heavy swirl marks where you see it like super crazy, all those swirly motions on there. Or if you just have something like this, which is not too bad in the sense that it's not super swirly, but there is like a bunch of left and right kind of scratches, this is going to be more moderate paint. And if you have good paint, that's something more like if you just pull your car off the lot, it's a brand new car, your paint has little to no defects at all, and you're happy with it, and you want to proceed with the next step, that is when you can start going ahead and ceramic coating it, glazing it, waxing and sealing it, whatever it is. But for this video, we're only sticking to the paint correction stage and the clay bar. So we finished clay barring. Now it's time to start correcting. So I'm going to grab my machine polisher, some compound, some polish, some pads, and some towels, and then we're going to go on with the next step of this detailing process. Now, one thing I did forget to mention, just very quickly, on the detailing flowchart, it says that after most detailers clay bar their vehicle, they usually rewash it. And that's just simply because sometimes what happens is the clay luber gets into the cracks and crevices of your vehicle, and you just want to go ahead and clean it up and remove any kind of oils from the clay lubricant or anything like that. In this case, we're not going to rewash the vehicle because Henry did a pretty great job at washing it, so I don't think it's really necessary to rewash it. So we're going to be using something called Wipeout, which is a surface cleansing spray. So this right here is going to work out great so that we can simply spray directly onto the surface. And this essentially, in most, terminology, would be referred to as an IPA spray. So this right here is an alcohol solution that's going to help remove any kind of embedded oils on the surface, which is going to make it easier for us when it comes to polishing stage, because this is going to make sure that we are not getting mixed results. And what I mean by that is sometimes oils, not compounds, glazes or waxes or stuff like that, they can contain micro swirl fillers, which essentially are oils that make your paint look a lot better than what it actually is. So this right here is going to allow you to kind of see your paint for its full clarity and its full condition, and just make sure that there's nothing on the surface that's going to take away from your overall results. So now that we're done wiping down the trunk with our Wipeout, now we're going to start polishing. All right, guys, so now that we have everything set up and we're ready to start polishing, I'm going to hook you guys up with an epic before and after shot. So what I'm going to do right now is actually grab our blue tape special, and we're going to go ahead and mask off the trunk right through the middle. That way you guys can see for yourselves how amazing these products cut into the paintwork refine it and just really bring out that overall intense shine and clarity. And the great thing about this paintwork on this Kia as well is that it has this beautiful metallic that you don't normally realize. So if you guys are looking at this video right now on camera, this car just may look black to you, a very nice glossy black. However, it has a very, very nice kind of like silver metallic flake into it, which we really want to do the justice for us. So we want to make sure that, you know, we polish this thing to perfection so you guys can actually see the full crisp clarity of the paintwork. So now that this is masked off with tape, now it's time to set up our machine. So the machine of choice today is our TORQ 15DA DA polisher. DA polisher. Yeah, I said that twice. So this right here is a dual action polisher that not only rotates, but it also oscillates at the same time, giving you that dual action motion, thus hence DA. So the beauty about this machine is that it's extremely easy to use, and it's meant for all levels of detailers, whether you're detailing beginner or a pro. So they're extremely easy to use because they utilize that dual action motion, making it perfect for any kind of detailing beginner or professional. Now, pads, compound, and polish combination choices. We have a full line of compounds here at Chemical Guys. We have our V line, which goes from V32 all the way up to V38. We have C4 and P4, which is a dual stage correction system. And we also have one-step polishes like VSS scratch and swirl remover, which is great for when your paint's in a better condition. Since, like I mentioned, that this is more in a moderate paint work, we're doing a two-step correction. Starting off with a compound like C4 clear cut correction compound, and then we're going to follow it up with our P4 polish. So usually whenever it comes to cutting, you want to use a cutting pad. So right here we have our orange cutting pad. Now you guys can't feel this or see this really, but this actually has a rough kind of feel to it. Now the reason it's rough is because this is the pad that we want to start cutting. So essentially whenever you're polishing or cutting your paintwork, you're basically refining it, you're kind of wearing it down to a certain extent to where those scratches kind of live in. So think of it kind of like as an indentation, and you're basically wearing down your paint up into that mark so that you have a nice, fresh, smooth, flat surface to work off of, thus enhancing the clarity and shine of your paintwork. And this is extremely easy to put on. All you have to do is simply put that in the center and just kind of press it down. That way it's all nice and snug on there. And then what you want to do is grab your compound of choice, and then you want to apply a couple drops. Now in this case, C4 clear cut correction compound, it cuts fast and it cuts hard. So with this product, I'm going to apply about 5 drops. These are just kind of pea-size / dime-size drops. I always kind of just go with the flow depending on what the car needs. Oh, and then just make sure to wipe off the residue on there with your cap right there. That way no product gets wasted. Set that down. And then we're going to grab some pad conditioner. This right here is to lubricate your pads. That way you don't create any kind of excess heat, which can lead to burning the paint. And it also makes sure that your pads perform like new every single time. All you have to do, that's it. Just give it a light little spritz. Make sure the foam is nice and conditioned, and you're all good to go. So now that we're all ready to go, all you have to do now is simply blot out the product onto the section that you're going to be working in. Normally we recommend working in a 2x2 section. The reason for that is because if you try to do the whole trunk at once, most likely than not, you're going to focus on one area more than another. So by utilizing a 2x2 section, you ensure that you spend the even amount of time on every single panel all around your vehicle. That way you have a perfect all-around result. So now that you spread it out, you want to set this onto the panel, and you want to turn this on to the first speed setting, and then you want to quickly just work it in. So now that you've just spread it out on the surface, now you can start working it in. So before I actually turn on the machine, turn it on. Now before we start cutting, a couple of things to keep in mind. Whenever you're moving the machine, don't go fast to the point where you can't control the machine. Always make sure that you're using a speed setting that you're comfortable with. So if you're a detailing pro, turn it up to the high speed setting. If you're a beginner or an intermediate, go ahead and use a lower or medium speed setting. And then make sure that you move the machine at an even pace. So what I mean by that is don't go super slow here and then just kind of speed, through it. Make sure that whatever speed that you go, you do that for the entire panel. Another thing to keep in mind is you want to overlap. I usually do about half an overlap, so I'll go once and then I'll go down about half the amount and then whenever I come back, I do that same thing all the way up until I reach the end of the panel. Another thing to keep in mind is you want to keep the machine flat. So oftentimes you'll be kind of faced with panels that are curved. If you do have a curved panel, you just want to make sure you go with the flow of the panel. Never try to, do something that you're not comfortable with. Make sure that this pad and the backing plate are always parallel to the surface that you have it on. So for example, this little lip right here, instead of me just kind of pushing down like this, all this little section right here that's not touching anything is not going to be doing anything at all. So whenever it comes to this little lip, always just kind of spend some time, move your machine and move your body. That way you have more contour to where you're actually polishing. So for example, if I'm doing this section, I'm gonna follow the machine like this. And then when it comes to this section, I'm probably gonna point it more upwards. That way it's flat, because as you guys can see, this kind of pokes upwards, It pokes out and up. So right now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the machine, I'm gonna work this in very thoroughly, and then I'll be right back with you guys to show you guys the results of what one pass looks like. All right guys, now that you're all done polishing with your first step, now you want to go ahead and grab a microfiber towel and then wipe off the residue. Now, one thing I do want to say off the bat right now is, as you're wiping off the residue, do not expect perfection. So what I mean by that is, if you just did your first pass and there's still some defects in the paint that you're not happy with, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. Now, the reason we do this in steps is simply because we want to make sure that you're not cutting more than needed. So the reason I'm not going with a super aggressive compound like V32 right now is simply because this car does not require it. Now, C4 compound is great because it's fast acting, it cuts fast, and it cuts moderately hard. So if you guys will come up close, I want to show you guys the results that I achieved from just doing one pass with C4 compound. Now, I will point out that there are still some slight defects simply because you do have like these little micro swirls and scratches. So I'm going to temporarily just lift up this tape and then come over here, guys. So we're going to start off right here. This is the before, and then as we pan towards the right to the side that we did, wow. Check that out, you guys. Huge difference. Much more clarity, much more shine, and you actually notice that it has that beautiful metallic flake. If we go back to the before, ugly, scratches, swirls, holograms, marring, looks terrible. You don't want your paint to look like this. If it looks like this, and you want to achieve results like this, then you can basically just follow this tutorial with their C4 compound, our TORQ 15DA polisher, and you can achieve these results. But guess what? It gets even better, because now we're going to refine it. So just like as you would whenever you're doing any kind of sanding, whether it be wood or in the body shop industry, you want to make sure that you refine the surface with a finer polish. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this tape back on. Sorry guys, I have my back towards you right now. So I have my P4 polish. Now I'm going to remove my orange pad simply because we don't want to cut anymore. We want to refine. So I'm going to put my orange pad down. I'm going to grab my white pad here. Then we're going to do the exact same thing, only with a few little differences. But for sure, you want to make sure that your pad is centered on your machine. And then with P4 polish, you want to apply the same amount of product. So in this case, we're going to apply about 5 drops. Set our bottle down. Now when it comes to polishing, you don't necessarily have to go with the pad conditioner just because you're not really polishing at a high speed in the sense that you're also doing cutting, because this is more so refining. But you can still do so if you want to. Very light spritz from a distance away. And then do the exact same thing. Only difference with the polish, I would say, would be that whenever it comes to polishing, you don't necessarily have to go to the highest speed and be there, very, very going very slowly. The polish is actually a lot faster acting. So as soon as you start working it in, you'll start realizing that it starts becoming very clear very fast, and then that's when you know you're done. So I'm just going to go ahead and work in this polish, and then I'll show you guys the final results. And then we're just simply going to buff off the residue of the P4 polish, and we can finally inspect our perfect results, which I would say are perfect. If you guys just go ahead and come up close, you guys will see that the paint is pristine. It has that beautiful glow. The metallic flake is there. It's popping. The paint, it's beautiful. It has a lot of depth, a lot of clarity, a lot of shine, a lot of luster, and just all the whole shebang going on. And last but not least, my favorite part after doing all this is just feels like glass. So if only you guys would be able to feel this right now, you guys will see just the perfect level of results that we've achieved on this little Kia Rio. So if you guys want to feel this for yourself, highly recommend doing it on your own vehicle. And I don't know, just let us know your experience with it. So now that we're all done, for the sake of this video, and just to kind of keep it flowing with the detailing flow chart, we're going to go ahead and conclude it here. We're going to continue finishing the rest of the vehicle off camera, so that way we can resume with our next video, which is showing you guys how to properly layer ceramic coatings, glazes, sealants, and waxes, what they do, what they're for, what you want, what you need, and how to apply them on your ride. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a huge like. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you guys want to learn more about the in-depth process of everything that we just showed in terms of cutting, polishing, maybe you have more questions on the compounds and polishes that we carry, we're going to link a video in the description down below with our full breakdown of every single one of our compounds, polishes, and a video on which machine polisher is the perfect one for your ride. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you guys already know, like, subscribe. My name is Joey. This is Chemical Guys Detail Garage. We'll see you guys next time.